I don't stand side by side with nobody till I bleed with them first.
What did we just see? You probably think this world is a dream come true.
When I step into this ring, yeah, bro, I am addicted.
Don't sleep on Luca!
Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42.
If you fight for your dreams will fight for you.
So, I've had this video in the vault for quite some time. I mean, especially when writing up the script, it's been quite some time since I finished the script to now, this Monday, where we're on day 160 of walking an album a day, you know. But it's understandable, but I want to get this video out, especially before the end of the year, before I have all that good end of year content for y'all, album of the year, wrestling matches of the year and all that, you know. But basically, you know, look at how long this video is. It's kind of tough to sit here in one sitting and record it all and edit it all when you have school going on, and you know, right now it's finals week. But thankfully, you know, I do have some time today to do all this. So getting right into it, the sort of backstory behind all this. So back towards the end of April, my friends and I found ourselves in a Discord voice call. We were pretty much bored out of our minds with nothing to do, and this led to, you know, all good conversations that usually happen in a voice chat at night. You know, we start talking about life, and more specifically how life just seems to be the same every day. Along with this, we talked about what we wanted to do differently with our lives. Work out more, dedicate proper time to hobbies such as editing or podcasting, or simply just doing more in life. However, we discussed the lack of motivation to do these things, the lack of motivation to make change and to keep it going. We joked that we can have this talk about change, but tomorrow we'll wake up and continue whatever routine we found ourselves stuck in. And personally, it resonated with me. Countless times I can imagine myself at 2 a.m. talking to myself, saying change needs to happen. All for me to wake up and continue the same lifeless patterns I found myself in. And things seemed to be that way. The next day, May 1st, came and I found myself doing the same thing as always. At the time, I was waiting to go back to college after spending a year away, and honestly it was a low point for me. I had regressed to previous mindsets of feeling like a failure and useless. At times, I was even struggling to keep myself motivated to write out scripts for this channel. However, the next day, May 2nd, I was here editing a video for the channel. Now, if you know how content creation works, you know editing videos can take a while, especially when you have to factor in rendering them, and uploading them can even take a bit longer. So I sat there staring at the YouTube screen that said the video would be uploaded in 25 minutes. As I sat there, I said to myself, instead of just waiting here doing nothing, why don't I do something that's actually productive with my time? I'm a really big music nerd, and thus I get a lot of content on social media, such as TikToks related to music, people recommending songs or albums, you know, and the one that I remember in that moment was somebody who was walking an album a day. And I really wish I could remember the original video of who I saw doing it. Obviously there's a ton of people, but this one person's video came across, and I had thought about it, and I said to myself, why don't I do that? It would help me kill multiple birds with one stone. It would get me outside more. It would get me to exercise consistently. It would help me cut through my backlog of music that I keep telling myself I'll listen to but never get to, you know? It would help me discover new music, songs, artists, genres, and most importantly, it would give me something to push myself to do each day. Something to keep me motivated, to remain consistent. Now, as you see in the thumbnail and video title, week is in parentheses. That is because weekends were excluded solely because I'm always out on those days, especially with my family, you know. So I was mainly focused on getting myself up and moving throughout the weekdays, where I was mainly at home at the time. I did walk once on the weekends during the first week because I started doing this on May 2nd, and that was a Tuesday, and I wanted to keep things even. With that being said, from May 2nd to September 15th, I walked an album every weekday, which equals to a grand total of 100 days and 100 albums. Now, 100 albums is a lot, so don't expect too much analysis on each album, but without further ado, here is all that I listened to. Now, if you notice with this channel, I rarely, if ever, highlight the negatives, other than, of course, when I'm on Philly Talk talking about my teams. If there's a match or a song I didn't like, I either don't talk about it or I keep my thoughts on it to a brief sentence or two. I mainly do this because I firmly believe all communities would be better if they simply discussed the things they liked. For example, how many times do we go on social media and you see people hate watching WWE or AEW? How often do we see people making lists about the worst matches, shows, songs, or albums? To me, it's just as simple as, why are you talking about something if you don't get any entertainment from it? I would rather focus on the matches, songs, stories, albums, etc. that I love and enjoy than spend hours just spewing negativity and hatred for things that are pointless at the end of the day. I get so much joy writing scripts for something like the Queen's Quest cage match or an album review for one I enjoy than I could ever get out of writing for clicks, views, and overall hate. I know it's a bit of a rant, bit of a yap session, but I just wanted to give some context for this section of the video because the albums included in this section are here for many reasons. Maybe listening to them while walking wasn't the best environment to listen to them in. Maybe the overall sound didn't click with me. At the end of the day, we all have different opinions, and I hope you are all able to recognize that, especially the fact that I'm not calling any of these albums bad. They just simply weren't for me, but I still hope you give them a shot and see what you think about them. I love talking about music, and I welcome to hear all opinions. So, to start us off, on day 3, I listened to Take Off by Icon. This album finds its way here for its different sound. Put simply, I didn't like the overall sound of this album and felt it was too far from the signature sound that made Icon enjoyable. Overall, I enjoyed All the Way Here, DK's solo Kiss Me, and June's solo Want You Back. Day 4, I listened to Soul Present by Q. Overall, it was a case of the sound not being for me. A lot of the vocal directions taken weren't for my taste, but I did like that sort of old school direction Q took it. Day 20, I listened to Blue Oblivion by Shenadair. I probably really butchered that, but excuse me for that. I always have to bring up I hate butchering names, so please excuse me for that. This one was a little bit too soft-spoken for me, and none of the songs really stuck out with me personally. Day 42, I listened to Forward by Jordan Ward. This one I definitely want to give another shot. I hear a lot of people talking about this, especially a lot of people have it in their top 10s of the albums this year. For me, it just felt like my first listen, it breezed by in a bad way, like I didn't really think much of it upon first listen, so I want to kind of give a second listen to see if it changes my mind. Day 43 was an album I've given multiple listens to and for whatever reason just still can't get into. Gemini Rights by Steve Lacy is a great album sonically and vocally. Path Reacts video got me to understand a lot of the background with this album, but it still doesn't really click with me the way it does with others. That being said, the one song that I really did enjoy off this album was definitely Sunshine. Day 50 was a landmark, and I used it to re-listen to an album that I didn't have very fond thoughts of when it initially dropped. Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty was an album that took the music world by storm when it dropped earlier this year. On my first listen, I didn't like any of it. I appreciated Yachty's willingness to experiment, but I just did not like the vocal directions he took. However, upon re-listening for Day 50, my opinion is less harsh. I'm still not fond of certain vocal performances, but Yachty makes it work on songs like The Zone, Say Something, Paint the Sky, and Should I Be. I may not enjoy the whole album, but again, I will always appreciate an artist stepping out of their usual genre and experimenting with their sound. Lil Yachty wasn't a name I exactly looked out for, but I do hope to see what he can do with this genre with more experience under his belt. Day 52, I listened to Junk Food by Easy Life. I really enjoyed their work last year, evident by my video breaking down Memory Loss. This is an album that I definitely need to re-listen to. The first listen wasn't that memorable, and the only song I have in my playlist from this project is Sangria. I really love the album cover, by the way. I could do a whole video on album covers, but at this point, I'm not going to vocally commit to that because it's a common theme for me to say I have a video planned and then it either doesn't come out or it takes months to come out after the original statement. Everywhere and Nowhere at All by Miles was my album choice for day 54. It makes this section for being too short. I wasn't truly able to grasp it, but I still really enjoyed the songs like Contact High and Advantage, really great songs off that project. Days 15, 33, and 55 are being grouped together as they all belong to the group aespa. In the order of those days, I listened to My World on day 15, Girls on day 33, and Savage on day 55. My reason for aespa's 3 projects making this part of the list overall mainly has to do with the composition. Each time I found myself listening to an aespa project, I found myself loving the leading songs. And then aespa would proceed to not really follow in the direction for the rest of those albums. I liked My World, Spicy, Girls, ICU, and Lucid Dream from these 3 albums, but I just didn't find myself enjoying the sound of the rest of the albums. To put simply, they felt like 2 different groups when it came to their title tracks and their B-sides. Day 56 might get me in some heat with K-pop fans, but Fancy You by Twice makes this part of the list. I liked Fancy and I liked Hot, but the rest of the album wasn't their strongest work to me personally. Twice always has great B-sides, but I didn't enjoy most of this one. I Can't Tell You Everything by Cheese was the album for day 62. Similar to Miles, the album just felt too short, it was a struggle to really connect with it, I did like That's Okay, but other than that, it was too short of an album for me. Day 64 and Day 66 are 2 albums I need to re-listen to in order to see if my opinion changes. Utopia by Travis Scott was disappointing to me on first listen, so much so that I haven't gone back to listen, but I really do need to give it a re-listen before the end of the year just to see, if maybe it was just the first listen that wasn't as great. Timely by Anri is a staple in the city pop genre. I need to give it a re-listen to in a better environment. I don't think the day I was walking to that album wasn't the best, definitely need a different environment for this album, but that was day 66. Day 69 was ITZY's latest release, Kill My Doubt. I have given listens to various ITZY projects. Just doesn't seem like their music is meant for me. Cake was very close to being a song that I liked, but I have my nitpicks for that song. But overall, yes, please forgive me K-pop fans, but just doesn't seem like their music is for me. Day 70 was looking very similar to Day 69, but the benefit of recording this later than I had wrote the script is being able to add some context from, obviously now previous to when I had written the script. But Day 70 was Doki Doki Love by Rocket Punch. Never looked into this group, but still want to give them a shot. Even if I didn't enjoy this project as much, but obviously, like I said, current day now compared to when I wrote this script, I've been giving other projects of theirs a listen to, and I think it was just this project that wasn't connecting with me, but I've been enjoying some of their other projects, and maybe if I continue to make this into a series for every 100 albums I do, you'll be able to hear some of my opinions on the albums I listen to. But speaking of this video, as I'm writing, this is obviously from the script I was writing. As I was writing the script, I saw we were on page 5, and that's with the fact that we haven't even gotten to the good albums yet. I bring it up because, of course, like I mentioned here in the script, but like I mentioned to you at the beginning of the video, I'm a college student. I don't want this video to be too long because, got a lot of work to do, especially, like I said, I'm recording this during finals week. I'm taking a risk here. But, that's just maybe an overconfidence in my abilities. But anyways, let's continue. I have to spend a lot of time editing this, so we got to rapid fire some albums like I was saying here in the script. Day 73 was Umbrella by Lee Chan Hyuk. Again, please forgive me for any name mispronunciations, and I would obviously welcome anyone to correct me in the comments to be like, this is how you pronounce it for next time, especially what is it? Never mind, I'm not going to spend too much time on trying to think of that. But so Umbrella, it was an interesting concept. I need to give it more listens. I really liked Fly Your Kite and Do Re Mi. I'm not going to even attempt to say the full title. I definitely need to check out the videos for it, because I believe it was a full-on a video album in a sense. Day 74 was Love Is Drug by OL Mood. Nothing too notable. I liked Vanishing Cats and Goodbye Demon. Day 75 was The Dark by the band Camino. Um, it was not really the sound I wanted from this album, but I think that's on me for only knowing them from one song, you know? Afraid of the Dark was decent though. Day 80 was Love Lucian by Triple S. Complexity and Black Soul Dress were great, but it so far might be my least favorite subunit project from Triple S. Day 82 is Only Built for Cuban Links by Raekwon. Rap community, before you have an aneurysm, before you start attacking me, my only gripe with this album is its length. I don't mind long albums, but this one felt like it dragged on a bit too long for my taste. That doesn't mean it's a bad album. You know, like I said, there's multiple reasons for albums being here. You know, it's a broad section. It's not necessarily me calling these albums bad. Remember that. Day 88, Can You Hear Me Now by Ava Bethard. I don't know. I just didn't really like the sound of the overall album, but I did enjoy songs like Please and That Nicotine were pretty good. Day 93 was Game Plan by Somi. I need another listen, honestly. I like the way, but you know, I need more listen to definitely for this one. To close out, Day 99, How Do You Sleep at Night by Tizo Touchdown. This is going to be the only time I'm going to be slightly negative. But again, it's no hate to the artist, it's no hate to anyone, but just I listened to this album because somebody said it was a top 3 album of the year contender. Its placement in this section should tell you what I think. Alright, so here are the albums that I thought were good. Not necessarily my favorites from the walk, but were great and had multiple songs make my playlist. Day 1 started off strong with Love You More by Yuha. Last Dance, Flower Rain, We, and Numb were great songs, great vocals, overall sound was great, and has a great album cover. Day 2 was The Remote EP Deluxe by Wallows. Was a great listen, loved 8 out of the 11 songs, and some highlights were Wish Me Luck, Coastlines, and Quarterback. Great vibes from this album. Day 5, I Trust by Idol. Oh My God and Lion were great. I liked the other two, but just felt they didn't match the overall vibes of the other 2 tracks. Want to say this now, but you know, I want to mention this because it's written in the script, and it's the joy of being able to react now compared to when I wrote this. I wrote, "We miss everything you contributed to Idol every day, Sujin. If the news is true, I can't wait for your solo debut." Spoiler, she had her solo debut, and we are so glad to have her back in the K-pop industry. Day 7 was I Love Life, Thank You by Mac Miller. Overall fun album from Mac Miller. I loved The Scoop on Heaven, Just a Kid, and Love Lost is one of my favorite Mac Miller tracks of all time. Day 10 was So Red the Rose by Arcadia, an absolute classic of an album front to back. I knew The Promise and Goodbye Is Forever because my dad, you know, showed me that. And, you know, on this day, I told my dad, this one's for you, listen to the whole album. And like I said, absolute classic front to back. Day 12, Sing the Sorrow by AFI. Classic 2000s album with some great songs on there like Girls Not Grey, Miseria Cantare, and The Leaving Song, I believe is what it's called. Just overall, real great album from the 2000s. Day 14, Transit of Venus by 3 Days Grace. Not my favorite 3 Days Grace album, but still has great hits like Misery Loves My Company, Chalk Out Line, and the Michael Jackson rendition was very surprising. Hey, so I'm checking in here during the editing process. Sorry if you can hear noise in the background. I'm just trying to do this real quickly to add to the video because I somehow forgot a day. Um, I don't know how. I skipped right past it after talking about this 3 Days Grace album and going into the next one. But it was day 17. I listened to Illmatic by Nas. It's one of the greatest debut albums in rap. You hear that a lot, and I'm telling you, lives up to that title, that expectation when you go into it. And it's just very surprising to think that this is an album that someone starts their career on. Day 18, Apocalypse From Us by Dreamcatcher. This was the funniest day of walking because my friend let me know. He's like, Dreamcatcher dropped a new album. It's actually pretty good because the two of us just really didn't enjoy their previous two releases, so I had fun with this one where after listening to it I made jokes. I was like, this is a legacy game for Dreamcatcher. Their legacy is on the line. And again, it's all jokes, but I made the joke to my friend. I'm like, they delivered and beat the washed allegations. It makes me excited for their next release. And then their next release happened and they went right back to what the previous two albums were, where I just didn't really enjoy it. But focusing on Apocalypse From Us was real great stuff. Day 21 was Space Cadet by Bia Badoobie. Great album. Not my favorite from her, but still has some really great tracks. And I believe this was her debut, which, if it is, and I'm not wrong on that, it's a pretty strong debut. Day 22, another album for my dad. We got Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears. Another classic album with hits, and it was a great listen on that day. Day 23 was New Jeans' self-titled EP. Talk about classics with this one, man. Just great songs with Attention, Hype Boy, and the underrated Hurt. Day 25, To Die For by B.I. This man just does not miss, and this one was no exception. Absolutely love this album for sure. Day 27, the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack by Metro Boomin. Just a great project that fits the movie so well. Am I Dreaming was definitely the peak of this album in my opinion, and overall just great stuff, y'all. The Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse soundtracks are always just filled with some really great gems. Day 28 was Crystal Eyes by Triple S. A great project with tracks like Hide and Seek, Dimension, and Deja Vu was a standout track for me as well. Days 31 and 32 were back-to-backs from the big three of K-pop, Square 2 by Blackpink and Perfect Velvet from Red Velvet. Classics from these two. Love the R&B influence on Red Velvet's project, and though it was pretty short, that Blackpink project is still a really great strong one. Day 34 was Anger Management by Rico Nasty and Kenny Beats. Love Rico, and this was just another great album from her. Absolutely loved the album cover on this one, especially. Definitely one of my favorites, and really loved her work with Kenny Beats on this one. Day 35, Animal by Maria Becerra. Discovered her through her 2022 release and have just loved going through her catalog of music since. And this one was no exception. It was just, it made for a really great walk, and loved a lot of the songs on this one. Day 36 was You Know What I'm Saying by Danny Brown. Great album from Danny. Change Up, Combat. Some of my favorite tracks from this one, and there's a couple others, but overall just great album from Danny. Super underrated in my opinion, but at the same time, glad to see a lot of people have been talking about his work, especially this year with the two albums he's dropped. One with JPEG Mafia, and then he dropped his solo one. Just a real great artist, man. Also really love the album cover on this one. Just all the colors and all that, it's a real strong album cover. Again, I could go on for days about album covers. Day 37 is YoungLove.com by Stacy. I really like their music, and again, I think they're underrated. Run to You, 24/7, Young Love, and Butterfly are amazing songs. And honestly, I don't see enough people talking about Stacy in the K-pop community. They're really underrated. They make real great music. Day 38 was The Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest. I have heard so much about this group, and especially this album, and it absolutely lived up to those expectations. Just great stuff. Can't say enough about it. I love especially the sort of a jazz rap type of a feel it has to it. And yeah, like I said, so much was said about this album, and it lived up to its expectations. Day 41 was just talking about it earlier. Scaring the Hoes by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. Great collaboration album, unique in its execution, and it was an overall fun album. A lot of people to this day are still debating about what do they feel Danny and JPEG if they eased off a bit. A lot of people talking about if it lives up to the title. Honestly, a lot of people feel like they could have done a lot more, but who knows, man, who knows. Day 44, 24K Magic by Bruno Mars. Overall fun album, made for a great walk, and you really could see just how much a lot of K-pop groups are influenced by Bruno Mars's work. Day 45, Honeydew by Biking with Francis. Discovered this group of artists from TikTok, and trust me, man, they got next. They got next. They just make some real good music and overall fun music. Day 46 was recommended to me by my old teacher and good friend of mine. It Still Sucks by Limp Bizkit was a good album that found a way to apply their style to a modern take. Real fun to listen to, especially if you grew up listening to Limp Bizkit, like I said. It was funny to see how they took their style and found a way to make it work in the modern times. Day 47 was The End of Nightmare by Dreamcatcher. Great album with two of my favorite Dreamcatcher songs on it. Day 48, Blue in the Dark by Bearings. Good album with a lot of feel and emotion to it. Day 49 was Kiss of Life's self-titled release. Good stuff from this one. Definitely looking forward to a lot of their future releases, especially, I think they just recently dropped one. Day 57, Equal by Woods. A great album with some great songs like Lift Up and Love Me Harder. Day 61, Ascension by Sarah Kinsley. Funny enough, none of the songs from this album made my playlist, but I really enjoyed a lot of it. It wasn't necessarily like music that you would have, like, in the sense of like, I think because if I remember correctly, it was a lot slower, but like, I still got a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially the vocals. Just a good album. Day 63, Masterpiece by Misamo, obviously the long-awaited J-Line subunit from Twice. Did not disappoint with songs like Marshmallow, Funny Valentine, and Do Not Touch. Day 65 was Austin by Post Malone, an album similar to last year's in the fact that it starts to grow on me the more I listen to it. Days 67 and 68 belong to Idol. Their projects I Made and I Am are great albums, and though it's their early work, it still has some great stuff on them. Days 71 and 72 belong to DPR Ian. I discovered these albums' mood swings in this order and mood swings into order through them popping up on Spotify's recommendations, and I really like the look of both their album covers. As far as the albums are concerned, this guy makes some real great music, and I'm glad to have found his music. Day 76 was Emulation by Stargaze Shelter. Another album cover that caught my interest, and the music was interesting too. I don't know how to describe the sound, but it was good stuff. Day 77 was Swing by Hojin. A great fun album. Really, really love 200 Miles from this song. And it took me a while to actually realize that the album cover was them on a swing. Day 78, back with Stacy and her newest release, Teen Fresh. Real great stuff from here with a fun title track and Bubble. Day 81 was Ruckus by Movements. Loved their work so much, and this album was great. Definitely in the top 10 contention for this year. Day 83 is the longest album name and probably the most confusing artist name. We have There Are Things That Cannot Be Filled With Anything, 5 Things by Ooh. Despite the weirdness, it is a great album with great vocals and instrumental selection. Day 84 was Expurgo by NMIX, an album with fun tracks. Also, it is mandatory to mention how funny Lily is. Day 85 was The Happy Star by Lexi Liu. Love the vibes of this album, and Lexi has some real great vocals. Day 86 was Cabin Fever by Purple Kiss. Good K-pop record. Really like Purple Kiss's vocals on this. Day 87, Warning by Sunmi. Real fun album. Day 89, Windy by Soyeon. I really love Idol's music, and each of their individual solo works are equally as good. Weather, Beam Beam, and Psycho are real great additions from this one. Day 90 was Sailing by Akmu. Love the way their vocals just go so well together. Day 91 was Mai by Mion. Once again, Idol's solo work is just as good as their group work. I need more from them. Day 92, Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown. I am a bit let down by this album, but I still really enjoy it. Danny is just great at being a different flavor in rap. Day 94 was Pedaleo Nocturno by French Police. A classmate recommended me this group, and overall I like the sound of this album. Day 95, Punk Tactics by Joey Valence and Bray. They just make fun music and have found a way to modernize an old school sound. Loved all the references. Day 96 was the self-titled album from The Volunteers. Great work and sound from this group. Day 97 was Maxident by Stray Kids. A real fun album, and I just really like the way the Stray Kids members fit together, especially on tracks vocally. And finally, Day 100, Revelations by Audioslave. Great work once again from Audioslave. Chris Cornell's vocals are just so great, man. Miss that man every day. Now we are on to the best of the best. I know, especially even for the good albums, it was a bit short in my analysis of them. You know, especially not mentioning enough songs for some of them. I apologize. I know it probably even seems shorter than the section about the albums that I didn't really enjoy or need more listens to, you know, etc., etc. But you know, again, just trying to get through this, but also, you know, I try my best. But you know, for this section, like it says, these are my favorite albums from this 100-day journey. And for these albums, I don't care how long it takes, man. I'm going to speak my mind because these were some of my absolute favorites from the walk. Day 6 was Love You Anyway by Devon Gilfillian. An absolutely smooth album. Great vocal performance. All I Really Want to Do, Right Kind of Crazy, Better Broken, Follow the Leader, and Righteous were highlights from this album. Day 8 was Cuts and Bruises from Inhaler. Just a great album, front to back. Just overall love this entire album. Love Will Get You There is probably my favorite off this album, and don't be surprised if you see it in the end of the year list. Day 9, Taste of Love by Twice. Dare I say, Twice's best work. I mean, just look at it, man. What album from Twice can boast the fact that it has Alcohol Free, First Time, Scandal, Conversation, Baby Blue Love, and SOS? Just a great summertime album from Twice. Hit after hit. And speaking of hit after hit, Day 11 was I Feel by Idol. Again, Allergy, Lucid, All Night, and Paradise. Not to mention Queen Card, one of their biggest hits to date. Classic album from Idol and one of their best performances. Day 13, Uli by Woods. I mean, come on, man. Just 3 great K-pop records back to back to back. A very different sound from the K-pop genre with this one, and that's why I love it so much. I love the energy from this album. Drowning is one of my tracks of the year. Just a great emotional song with tons of feeling and emotion behind it. And the song Busted is also just like a shot of adrenaline. Day 16, With Love Until We Die by Tristam. My favorite record of the year from 2021. Just a great overall album that was great in every single way. The songs, the composition, the sound, a roller coaster of emotions on this one. If you have never heard Tristam's music or just think of his work with Monster Cat, do yourself a favor and listen to this album. Day 19, Smiley by Yenna. There she is. My favorite soloist in the K-pop realm. She just doesn't miss, man, and she just makes great music. I mean, on this track alone, Luck to You, Pretty Boys, and Vacay are absolute bangers from Yenna. Day 24, No Good Left to Give by Movements. This album broke me in a good way. Just a great album with songs that hit close to home, and the final 2 songs to close the album are put together so well. Skin to Skin, though, however, has to be my absolute favorite off this album. Day 26, Acid Angel from Asia by Triple S. My favorite subunit of Triple S. Oh, how I wish we could see them again. Generation is one of the best K-pop songs ever created. Just fully encapsulates the genre in that song alone. Rolex and Dimension are also great additions to this album as well, but Generation is the shining star on this one. Day 29, I've Loved You for So Long by the Aces. Just like the previous Movements album, a great gut punch of an album. Great emotional work from the Aces on this one, especially with the song Not the Same. Day 30, a possible spoiler for the end of the year. This Is Why by Paramore. the album that sparked the idea for this channel, the album that reignited my love for analysis, an album it just has so much substance to it. I swear each listen just gets better and better, and I find more stuff with each listen. Quite possibly album of the year. When I was writing this, we're still 2 months left to go. Not gonna spoil it because we're just a couple weeks away from me doing my end of the year list, but masterful work from all of Paramore on this one. I mean, just come on, man. It's just 10 straight songs of 10 out of 10s, and enough can't be said about Haley's vocal work. Enough can't be said about Taylor and his work on the guitar throughout this record, and truly nothing can be said, enough can't be said about Zach's work on the drums in this record. I mean, it's the one record people point to a lot, and it's not to say like that he doesn't have great drumming performances on the rest of the album, but just go listen to Figure 8 by Paramore and just listen to a master at work when Zach's on those drums. Absolutely just great stuff. Day 39, Love or Loved, Part 1 by B.I. His best work, in my opinion. A cohesive album that still found a way to make each song sound different, and that's what makes it so great. It's what makes B.I. so great. And the sequel dropped. I can't wait for the sequel soon. The sequel dropped, and it's just as good. It's just as good. Day 40, Watching Movies with the Sound Off 10th Anniversary Edition by Mac Miller. Likely my favorite Mac Miller album. Just some of his best work on here, whether it's the rapping, the substance on this album, it's just great, you know? An album especially that breezes by so smoothly despite its length. Songs like Objects in the Mirror, Suplexes Inside of Complexes and Duplexes, Aquarium, and one of my all-time favorites, I'm Not Real featuring Earl Sweatshirt. That song is just special, man, and the whole album is. I may have been late to the trend, but I'm so glad I looked into his music. He's truly one of my favorite comfort artists. Day 51, Unforgiven by Le Seraphim, one of the best records of the year, one that I was sleeping on for quite some time. Unforgiven, Fire in the Belly, and a really long song name, and especially Flash Forward are great songs. Even excluding the previously released records, this is still a strong record from Le Seraphim. Day 53 was Double X by Crazy, I believe is how you pronounce it. I don't know much about this group, but it came across one day, had a real great listen to it. Lucid Dream is a great, strong record for them to have, this early, because I don't think they've released any other music. That's a real great, strong record to have, and I'm excited for them just based off this album. Day 58, I Burn by Idol. Got to be my favorite Idol album. Hua, Moon, Where Is Love, Lost, and Dahlia. Just a classic record, man. Day 59, Growing Up by the Linda Lindas. Thank you, Paramore, for introducing us to this band. Such a talented group of young ladies. So young, but have all the potential in the world. To have a debut record this good just shows that. Also, I just love their ability to have the range that they have. I mean, on this album alone, they're like, here's a song about my cat, to here's a song about fighting loneliness, to here's a Spanish song, to here's an upbeat anthem about pushing through life. Just a real great group. Again, Day 60, Get Up by New Jeans. New Jeans just makes good music, man. ETA, New Jeans, Super Shy, Cool With You, an album full of fun songs. I called them a global sensation for a reason in the video I did, and it's simple, man. They're gonna take over, and they're accomplishing all this at such a young age. It's truly impressive. Day 79, Zone by Jihyo. K-pop record of the year, no doubt in my mind. We've all been waiting for this solo debut, and it's everything I wanted. In my opinion, man, she's, as we say in the wrestling world, to me, I would describe her as just a true ace, man. And this album proved that to me. I mean, Killing Me Good, Talking About It, Closer, Don't Want to Go Back, and Room. It's just peak music, man. Real great stuff. She's just so great. And the leader of Twice for a reason, man. I know I'm letting my bias show a bit, but She's just so great, man. The vocals are top tier, and it's something I'll expand upon in my end of year list, but do not come talking to me about no numbers, you know. Don't start telling me about the charts, this and that, man. We're here to listen to music. We don't care about no numbers and album sales here. And just like that, we're on to our final album, Day 98, Broken Bells' self-titled record. I really love the sound of Broken Bells. They have like this country feeling to them, but also like a cinematic feel in a way to a lot of their music. Like, I don't know, I can just imagine their music fitting perfectly in various movie scenes of different genres. The High Road, Vaporize, Sailing to Nowhere, October, The Mall, and Misery are standout tracks, and it was just an overall great listen. Like I said though, that is our last album. With that said, that leaves the statistics as follows: 20 albums that were my favorite, 55 that I thought were good, and 25 albums that I either didn't like, weren't for me, need another listen, so on and so forth. To close out this video, I just want to leave you with this final statement. There are albums I said I didn't enjoy. There are albums that I did. Some of these albums I consider my absolute favorite. If you are in any way upset about my opinions, I just want you to realize how beautiful music is. In a couple years, I can find myself listening to these same albums and liking them. I can listen to some of these albums and not like them. The beauty of music is that it grows along with us. Denzel Curry said that he had the idea for Melt My Eyes, See Your Future for years, but held off because he hadn't experienced certain things he wanted to make songs about. I view music listening in the same light. As we grow and mature, we learn to appreciate new things. Just because I don't like certain albums doesn't mean I can't return to them in the future when I could potentially be in a completely different point of life. A point that may allow me to catch and appreciate certain things I missed upon the initial listen. Music is very beautiful, and I'm glad to share this journey with you.